The word cult is often used very flippantly, and this undermines the severity of the physical and psychological damage that cults cause. Accusing something of being a cult is an extraordinary claim, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I will be as unbiased and thorough as possible by using cult expert Steven Hassan's BITE model of authoritarian control to either substantiate or disprove the claim that MAGA is a cult. The BITE model examines how cults and high control groups manipulate individuals through 4 key areas: behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. I will look through the common characteristics of cults and state whether these traits do not apply, somewhat apply, or absolutely apply to MAGA. First, we will look at the behavior control category. This category explores how manipulative groups regulate and dominate their members' actions and behaviors through strict rules and rewards and punishments, limiting individual autonomy. 1. Regulate individuals' physical reality. Does not apply. 2. Dictate where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates or isolates. Does not apply. 3. When, how, and with whom the member has sex. This one absolutely applies. Republicans are overly concerned with other people's consensual sexual encounters despite it not impacting them whatsoever. They did, however, elect a rapist to run the country. They are constantly slut-shaming women and shaming them for getting abortions, while simultaneously wanting to get rid of birth control and social programs that decrease abortion, and they oppose sexual education. Donald Trump appointed Supreme Court justices that overturned Roe v. Wade, making abortion illegal in many states, leading to an increase in infant and maternal mortality, suicide, homicide, domestic violence, and child abuse, all just because he wanted to punish women for having sex. Additionally, Republicans are very intrigued by the sexual relations of homosexual and transgender people and admittedly want to get rid of marriage equality. 4. Control types of clothing and hairstyles. Does not apply. 5. Regulate diet, food and drink, hunger and/or fasting. Does not apply. 6. Manipulation and deprivation of sleep. Republicans actively oppose workers' rights, which increases stress and ultimately does lead to a lack of sleep. This one somewhat applies. 7. Financial exploitation, manipulation, or dependence. Absolutely applies. Republicans want things to be more expensive, even necessities like food, housing, and transportation. While Kamala Harris had an affordable housing policy, Donald Trump increased tariffs by 145%, which led to consumers paying more for goods and necessities. 8. Restrict leisure, entertainment, and vacation time. Absolutely applies. In addition to wanting to get rid of workers' rights, they also want to raise the retirement age and get rid of Social Security. If people cannot even afford to have their basic needs met, they certainly will not be able to have leisure or vacation time. 9. Major time spent with group indoctrination and rituals and/or self-indoctrination, including the internet. This one does not apply. Republicans can interact with each other as much or as little as they please. 10. Permission required for major decisions. Does not apply. 11. Rewards and punishments used to modify behaviors, both positive and negative. Does not apply. 12. Discourage individualism, encourage groupthink. Absolutely applies. There is always some level of groupthink when it comes to politics, but MAGA Republicans are on a whole new level. If conservatives believed in individualism the way they claim to, there would not be such heavy regulation of personal and harmless decisions that individuals make. For example, marrying or having sex as a gay person, taking hormones as a transgender person, or taking an abortion pill in the first trimester before the fetus is even sentient. 13. Impose rigid rules and regulations. Absolutely. They want no abortion, no freedom of religion, minimal gun control, no gay or trans people, and no vaccines. 14. Punish disobedience by beating, torture, burning, cutting, rape, and/or tattooing and branding. Does not apply. 15. Threaten to harm family and friends. Yes, this absolutely applies. Republicans have threatened and have actually followed through with passing laws that harm women, gay and trans people, children, and immigrants. For example, limiting access to abortion and gender-affirming care while making it easier to obtain a gun. 16. Force individual to rape or be raped. Does not apply. 17. Encourage and engage in corporal punishment. No. 18. Instill dependency and obedience. No. 19. Kidnapping. No. 20. Beating. No. 21. Torture. Republicans have wanted to remove gender-affirming care and abortion access despite knowing that this significantly increases suicide. That sounds like torture to me. Absolutely applies. 22. Rape. Not all Trump's supporters are rapists, but they all support rapists, so this one somewhat applies. 23. Separation of families. Absolutely applies. Republicans want to separate families at the border. 24. Imprisonment. This absolutely applies. I suggest you research what is going on in El Salvador if you are not already informed. 25. Murder. No. 1. Deception. A. Deliberately withhold information. B. Distort information to make it more acceptable. C. Systemically lie to the cult member. This absolutely applies. Republicans are notoriously deceptive. They tell lies about transgender women dominating women's sports, fetuses feeling pain during abortion, and they claim that late-term abortion, which isn't even an actual medical term, is a common occurrence. They say that undocumented immigrants are not contributing to the American economy, but they also claim that they're stealing jobs from American citizens. 2. Minimize or discourage access to non-cult sources of information, including A. Internet, TV, radio, books, articles, newspapers, magazines, media. B. Critical information. C. Former members. D. Keep members busy so they don't have time to think and investigate. E. Control through cell phone with texting, calls, and internet tracking. This somewhat applies as Republicans often do not interact with the media that they disagree with, but that is not unique to MAGA members, as most of us enjoy circle jerks and echo chambers. Sorry, it's just human nature. I can't accuse them of being in a cult for that because we do the same thing, right? 3. Compartmentalize information into outsider versus insider doctrines. A. Ensure that information is not freely accessible. B. Control information at different levels and missions within group. C. Only allow leadership to decide who needs to know what and when. Does not apply. 4. Encourage spying on other members. A. Impose a buddy system to monitor and control member. B. Report deviant thoughts, feelings, and actions to leadership. C. Ensure that individual behavior is monitored by group. Does not apply. 5. Extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, including A. Newsletters, magazines, journals, audio tapes, videotapes, YouTube, movies, and other media. B. Misquoting statements or using them out of context from non-cult sources. This one absolutely applies, as Republicans constantly accuse people of being child molesters and baby killers. This is frankly much worse than a misquote, it's just slander. 6. Unethical use of confession. A. Information about sins used to disrupt and or dissolve any identity boundaries. B. Withholding forgiveness or absolution. C. Manipulation of memory, possible false memories. Does not apply. The third category is thought control. This category focuses on psychological techniques used by such groups to shape beliefs and attitudes, suppressing critical thinking and promoting conformity. 1. Require members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth. A. Adopting the group's map of reality as reality. B. Instill black and white thinking. C. Decide between good versus evil. D. Organize people into us versus them, insiders versus outsiders. This somewhat applies. Being a MAGA Republican requires you to internalize a map of reality that does not match reality. Republicans make unsubstantiated claims and disregard scientific evidence. Whether it be about fetal sentience, sex versus gender, climate change, or vaccine safety. While deciding between good versus evil and dividing people into us versus them is prevalent amongst Republicans, I think this is just part of human nature. Political discussions often include polarizing topics that have ethical implications, so I do understand that it is tempting to draw a clear line between us and them, insiders and outsiders, good and evil. That's why I say this one only somewhat applies. 2. Change person's name and identity. Does not apply. 3. Use of loaded language and cliches which constrict knowledge, stop critical thoughts, and reduce complexities into platitudinous buzzwords. This absolutely applies. The slogan, "Make America Great Again," is a perfect example. This phrase completely ignores the people that have historically suffered due to the oppressive systems in the United States. America has only ever been great for wealthy people and people with major social and political power. The United States was literally built on slaves. They also say abortion is murder, you shouldn't have sex unless you want a baby. They are incapable of nuance. 4. Encourage only good and proper thoughts. Does not apply. 5. Hypnotic techniques are used to alter mental states, undermine critical thinking, and even age regress the member. Does not apply. 6. Memories are manipulated and false memories are created. Does not apply. 7. Teaching thought-stopping techniques which shut down reality testing by stopping negative thoughts and allowing only positive thoughts, including A. Denial, rationalization, justification, wishful thinking. This one absolutely applies. Rationalization, justification, and wishful thinking are required to continue supporting Donald Trump after everything he has done. B. Chanting. C. Meditating. D. Praying. E. Speaking in tongues. F. Singing or humming. These ones do not apply. Rejection of rational analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. This absolutely applies. Conservatism is a position that is upheld by rejecting rational analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. Liberalism is a position that is reached by deploying rational analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. 9. Forbid critical questions about leader, doctrine, or policy allowed. Does not apply. 10. Labeling alternative belief systems as illegitimate, evil, or not useful. This absolutely applies. To conservatives, liberalism is illegitimate, evil, and useless. The final category is emotional control. This category explores how manipulative organizations manipulate emotions, fostering dependency and loyalty through love bombing, guilt, and fear-based indoctrination. 1. Manipulate the narrow range of feelings. Some emotions and/or needs are deemed as wrong, evil, or selfish. This absolutely applies. People are deemed as evil, wrong, and selfish for being gay, transgender, sexually active, etc. 2. Teach emotion-stopping techniques to block feelings of homesickness, anger, and doubt. Does not apply. 3. Make the person feel that problems are always their own fault, never the leader or group's fault. This absolutely applies. If someone in the United States is poor or homeless, people say that it is their own fault. If someone in a country with a mixed market economy is poor or homeless, people view it as the system failing them. 4. Promote feelings of guilt or unworthiness, such as A. Identity guilt. Conservatives are often shaming marginalized communities. B. You are not living up to your potential. C. Your family is deficient. D. Your past is suspect. E. Your affiliations, feelings, and actions are irrelevant or selfish. G. Social guilt. H. Historical guilt. Do not apply. 5. Instill fear, such as fear of A. Thinking independently. B. The outside world. C. Enemies. D. Losing one's salvation. E. Leaving or being shunned by the group. F. Others' disapproval. Republicans are often very cruel to those who do leave. I would say that this somewhat applies. 6. Extremes of emotional highs and lows. Love bombing and praise one moment, then declaring you a horrible sinner. Trump calls his own supporters stupid, but also thanks them for supporting him. I think this one applies. 7. Ritualistic and sometimes public confession of sins. Does not apply. 8. Phobia indoctrination. Inculcating irrational fears about leaving the group or questioning the leader's authority. A. No happiness or fulfillment possible outside of the group. B. Terrible consequences if you leave. Hell, demon possession, incurable diseases, accidents, suicide, insanity, 10,000 reincarnations, etc. C. Shunning of those who leave, fear of being rejected by friends and family. D. Never a legitimate reason to leave. Those who leave are weak, undisciplined, unspiritual, worldly, brainwashed by family or counselor, or seduced by money or sex and rock and roll. E. Threats of harm to ex-member and family. Some of these somewhat apply. As I said, Republicans are not very nice to people who leave and disagree with them.